Hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football, and welcome back to a live Manchester United news show where we can laugh at Wolves beating Liverpool, but not laugh too much because we still got to play Newcastle, and we've only won once at St James's Park in the last 8 years when fans were there. We haven't won at St James's Park since Ollie was in charge in 2021, so I am nervy, but United could go 5 points clear of Liverpool and 5 points clear in those Champions League places with Villa and Chelsea to play each other, and also one of them will be dropping points today. We're going to talk about the manager situation. Manchester United have kind of made their manager decision, but they're waiting until what? Well, they're waiting until the end of the season to decide whether to go with Carrick or potentially the other option. Julian Nagelsmann wants the Man United job, and apparently, some sources say he's favourites over Carrick to get the Manchester United job due to his relationship with Vivell and kind of working in the head coach role. We've got updates on a few other stories, the left wing situation, the midfield situation, replacing Casemiro. Jack Fletcher's got a 6-match ban. There's all that drama. There's quite a bit to talk about in today's live. And I know, first of all, I do look like a tomato. I am on the go. I'm out and about today, and I needed to find a spot to record in, like a little booth to record in. So I'm in this room with awful lighting that makes me look like a tomato. I don't have my lighting. I don't have my mic. I don't have my webcam. I couldn't fit it all in my bag. So I do apologize if the quality of this live stream isn't as the most amazing. We've obviously upgraded to a little bit of a studio in my apartment, but we're back to being in a box today just for this live show. But yeah. Never forget 7-0. I forgot about that. It's fine. Five points clear, maybe. 5 points clear, potentially. I'm enjoying it. But let's look at the Premier League table. Let's look at everything ongoing. We will review the Newcastle game. Lissandro Martinez is out for the game. We will talk about my starting 11 for the Newcastle game and more. So, Arsenal top of the league. Man City are in second. But Manchester United are in third place. Villa and Chelsea play each other today, so one of Villa and Chelsea is going to drop points. So let's say we win, and Villa win. Both of us and Villa on 54 points. But then that puts 6th place Chelsea on 45 points, which means we're 9 points clear with 9 games to go. If we win, we're 9 points clear with 9 games to go. Goal difference, Chelsea's is better, so maybe you can say 8 points clear with 9 games to go to get Champions League football, because 5th place, realistically, 99% is going to get you Champions League football. We can go 5 points clear of Liverpool. We could go 9 points clear of Chelsea, or if Chelsea beat Villa, then we can at least go 3 points clear of Villa, who at this moment in time, I think Villa are most likely to come 6th. I think it'll be Man United 3rd, Liverpool 4th, Chelsea 5th, Villa 6th. Brentford are up there, but I don't think they've looked great lately, Brentford. They've obviously lost their game, but Man United are in a pretty nice position here. But look, beating Newcastle was not easy. I know Newcastle have been crap lately. I know Newcastle have seen Bruno Guimaraes. I know Newcastle are in poor form. We are bad at St James's Park. Generally, if we came out of St James's Park with an awful 0-0 draw and it was an awful watch for 90 minutes, I would take the point because I'd say at least we're still unbeaten under Carrick. I generally think going to St James's Park is one of our hardest games. The Emirates and St James's Park, they're where we struggle. I back us more at the Etihad than I do at St James's Park. It's one of those stadiums where I don't have much confidence. But if we can win today, that is massive because that would put us on 54 points. If City lost, we'd be 5 points behind them, which, is pretty mad to think if you just said that at the start of the season. But I think a point at St James's Park, is decent. And just Wolves. You know what? Wolves are doing more for this top 4 race than anyone. Wolves have taken points from Villa and taken points from Liverpool. Wolves are doing more for Man United and Chelsea. I saw someone retweet that Wolves have done more for Chelsea's Champions League hopes than Chelsea, because Wolves are just taking points from Villa, taking points from Liverpool. Obviously they took points from us under Amorim as well. I did see someone joke that Wolves have done more for Champions League football than Chelsea. But yeah, thank you, Wolves, for doing us a favour. Lewis Hall will be on fire. I think he's Newcastle's best player at the moment with Bruno Guimaraes out. Good player, Lewis Hall, so that'll be one to watch. Not going to be an easy game. Villa and Chelsea draw would be nice. Yeah, I think if Villa and Chelsea draw, that would be nice. And if we can beat Newcastle, that would be really nice. 10 games left, no room for error. Exactly, we're in that final stretch. I think we're 5 wins away from being in a pretty good position. How many games has Carrick won, Alice? Let me have a look, actually. Manchester United. Carrick has won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Carrick's won 6 games. Carrick could lose. Do you know what's mad? Carrick could lose every game between now and the end of the season, and he'd still have a higher win rate than Ruben Amorim. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's nuts. That is nuts when you think about it. Shall I tweet that and trigger some people? It's going to trigger some people. Carrick could lose every game between now and the end of the season, and he would still have a better win rate in the Premier League than Ruben Amorim. This is going to absolutely wind some people up. I've just tweeted this. Carrick could lose every game between now and the end of the season, and he would still have a better win rate in the Premier League than Ruben Amorim. Carrick could lose every game from now on. So I say Carrick could lose every game between now and the end of the season, or Carrick could lose every game from now on. Nah, that's just tweet it. Can't be asked. Jim Ratcliffe is at Carrington watching the under-18s today. That's interesting news. I love just sending a tweet to wind people up sometimes. You know when you know that you're going to tweet something. Well, I don't know if you guys tweet much, but sometimes when you say something and you just know someone's going to read that and get really wound up. Someone's going to read that and get wound up. I tweeted a lot about Wolves, so I rage baited some Liverpool fans yesterday. To be honest, that was good fun. Rage baiting Liverpool fans. I didn't even say anything. I just went Wolves and a load of laughy emojis, and I had like Liverpool fans DMing me like, "You whore." I'm like, just enjoying it. Anyway, back to topic, because obviously I want to talk about the manager situation and more, and I've been waffling for so long. But we're talking about the Premier League. Man United could go 5th. Newcastle's not easy. The fact that Carrick could lose every game and still have a better win rate than Ruben Amorim is actually mad when you think about it. But anyway, let's dive into the news. Let's dive into the Nagelsmann news. Let's dive into the stories and more. Guys, if you do enjoy today's video, please do go ahead and hit that like button, and you're welcome to subscribe if you're new. 2 will be tough, but I hope we get a result. Massive for maintaining the lead on our rivals. Exactly. It's about maintaining the lead. Liverpool are up there with Leicester. Julian Nagelsmann has now turned his attention to the vacant hot seat at Manchester United. Intermediaries have put his name forward to the club, ensuring it's in the mix. So we obviously spoke about the other day that Julian Nagelsmann was open to the Manchester United job. Manchester United have been looking at Julian Nagelsmann. There's more confirmation coming out of Nagelsmann's interest in Manchester United. Nagelsmann is interested in the United job. Intermediaries have put his name forward. INEOS are not ready to appoint Carrick just yet. The club are continuing due diligence on multiple candidates, and a long process is aimed to make the right decision. Man United basically have decided, I think, between a couple of names. They know what they want. It's one of these few names, and it's going to depend what happens between now and the end of the season with Carrick. I think if we just win every game between now and the end of the season with Carrick, I think Carrick probably gets the job. But I think if things do just go a bit with Carrick, I think it goes to Nagelsmann. Now, what has been said on Nagelsmann, and what makes me quite confident that it could be Nagelsmann, other than some things I've heard as well that I will touch upon. Julian Nagelsmann still has admirers at Old Trafford, while the availability of Enrique would certainly throw a spanner in the works. Tuchel said no, he's signing a new deal. Ancelotti said no, he's signing a new deal. There's red flags with De Zerbi. We like Enrique, but would he want to work with the INEOS model? Would he want to work at Man United? It's seen as unlikely, which puts Julian Nagelsmann as number 1. Julian Nagelsmann is now INEOS's number 1 pick outside of Carrick. Right now, I'm going to tell you this for a fact. They like De Zerbi. They like Enrique. They don't believe they can get Enrique. Marco Silva and McKenna they like, but they don't think have enough big club experience. Man United are looking at it, and then Christopher Vivell is going, Nagelsmann. Man United are looking at it like this. Let's interview Nagelsmann. Let's see what the situation is. They're obviously put off by the fact that he's at the World Cup, so wouldn't be able to come until later. And let's see what happens to Carrick. If Carrick does really well, INEOS will appoint Carrick. I'm telling you this now. If Carrick does really well and finishes 3rd place, there is a 90% chance that Carrick gets the job. The 10% is maybe 1, Carrick not wanting the job, and maybe 2, that someone appears and they're like, wow, okay. If Carrick does well, he's probably going to get the job. If he gets 3rd, he's probably going to get the job. And he also kind of looked at it and gone, well, he's already here. It's easy to do. The fans like him. He's doing well. Boom. That's what INEOS are looking at. Easy. Fans like him. Pundits like him. Boom. But Vivell and some people internally inside INEOS think we should get Nagelsmann. Nagelsmann being at the World Cup has put people off. It is basically a decision between Nagelsmann and Carrick, from what I'm hearing. Look, if Luis Enrique all of a sudden makes it clear he wants the job, he gets thrown in. But we know Nagelsmann wants the job, and we know that Carrick wants the job, and it's between those two. There's De Zerbi's been looked at just in case. Other managers been looked at just in case, but it's basically a choice between Nagelsmann and Carrick, and it's a waiting game. Let's see how Carrick does. Let's make that decision in May. But it's essentially that, like, to be honest. Nagelsmann could have cut a Bayern with German players. Why is the answer to United? I'm sticking with Carrick. I mean, I like Nagelsmann. I think he's a good coach. I think he's a great coach. I think he's an intelligent guy. I think, you give him the right players and he could succeed. But of course, there's elements of concern with Nagelsmann because he's never managed in the Prem. But then Klopp never managed in the Prem, and look at how well he did. Pep never managed in the Prem, and look at how well he did. Like, for me, I like Nagelsmann, but I think, if Carrick does really well, I probably would give it to Carrick. If Carrick continues to win and win and win, I'd probably give it to Carrick. But I do like Nagelsmann, but I think him being at the World Cup, coming in later, lack of Prem experience, that would be an element of concern. I think he's a good manager, but it's like, this is the way I see it. If Carrick does really well, absolutely no to Iriola, Marco Silva, Glasner. If Carrick does really well and you can get an interview with Enrique and you get an interview with Nagelsmann, you have to go and do it, and you have to go and hear out Nagelsmann, hear out Enrique. For me, even if Carrick does well, I think Enrique beats Carrick just because of what Enrique has done. But Nagelsmann is a good manager. But he is a good manager, but it's something that we can talk about nearer the end of the season. But it will be between Nagelsmann and Carrick, and I think it's something we can talk about nearer the end of the season when we know what's happened between now and the next 5-6 games with Michael Carrick. We obviously know, because Ben Jacobs said this over a week ago on the United stand, that Julian Nagelsmann is open to a Prem job. He's set to be available this summer, and alongside De Zerbi is expected to be on United's shortlist. I think the main three are Carrick, De Zerbi, Nagelsmann. As of now, my favourite option is Carrick. My second favourite option is Nagelsmann. My third favourite option is De Zerbi. De Zerbi is Man United's third favourite option. There's a few red flags there. I think, Nagelsmann clearly wants the job. He's clearly liked by Vivell. He's clearly liked by people inside INEOS. What is giving Nagelsmann a big advantage, despite being at the World Cup, is the fact that he's worked in that model. INEOS wants someone that they can be the head coach and they can do everything else. And Nagelsmann's worked in that model, and that's why they do really like Nagelsmann. Carrick, I think, would be willing to work in that model, but probably would want a little bit more control. That could put INEOS off potentially, but many sources have spoken about Nagelsmann and how highly rated he is. Nagelsmann is another who features highly, and he has a good relationship with United's Director of Recruitment, Christopher Vivell, whose power base is growing, but Nagelsmann poses the same problems as Tuchel, as he's in charge of the World Cup. Basically, we like Nagelsmann. The only thing that puts us off him is the World Cup, which is why I think if Carrick does well, they choose Carrick. I think INEOS have probably decided it's going to likely be between Nagelsmann and Carrick. Maybe Enrique, if Enrique goes, you know what, I want the job. And I think they'll wait until the end of the season. They'll wait, see what happens, and make a decision. I feel Nagelsmann is getting massively underrated after his time at Bayern. I agree. His football at Bayern and Leipzig and even Germany is fantastic. The myth he wasn't good at Bayern is false. Look, I somewhat agree with that. I think he's very underrated, actually. I do like him. Like, people used to say Hansi Flick. People used to give Hansi Flick's stick for what he did at Bayern. And Hansi Flick's gone to Barcelona, and he did one of the best managerial jobs last year when you look at the lack of money Barcelona have spent and the fact they've had to rely on youth. You have to look at it that way. Obviously, Barcelona are lucky that La Masia just keeps spawning absolute world beaters. I have to take something very special not to pick Carrick. Man United needs a top manager who can handle pressure, exactly. And one thing about Carrick is, and maybe Amrin didn't have that, is because Carrick's been a player at Man United in the past. He knows the mentality you need to be a Man United player. He knows the pressure you're under. Man United is the most watched club in the world. We're more watched than Real Madrid. We're more watched than Barcelona. We are the most watched club in the world. It's Man United, then Barcelona and Madrid, then it's Arsenal, Liverpool. But Man United, when it comes to media eyes, it's the most watched club in the world. So if you're a manager at Man United, you're almost held to another level of expectation, another level of eyes. You have one bad game and 10 good games, you're going to get stick for the one bad game. You need that mentality to manage United. You need to know how to deal with the pressure, the eyes, the media. That's why so many players and managers have come here and got swallowed up. One, because of the ownership and the lack of stability, but two, it is the pressure. And I think with Michael Carrick, he's played here, he knows the club, he knows how you need to handle things. I think that's where Ruben Amorim crumbled. I don't think Ruben Amorim was bad tactically, even though his system looked crap. I actually think tactically he'd been a good manager, but I don't think he realised that he needed to adapt to get the best out of the players. I don't think he realised that at Man United, you're going to be under this pressure. Ruben Amorim threatened to quit many times. I think mentality of manager that we bring in is really important. And I think Carrick, having been a player here and having experience here and knowing the league, he knows the mentality as well. And I think that's one advantage Carrick gets. Carrick is a quality manager. Clearly, every gaffer since Ollie has lacked that side 100%. 100%. Even like Ten Hag, he's fallen out of Varane, he's fallen out of Casemiro. You know, and I quite liked Ten Hag, to be honest. I think that Ten Hag's biggest downfall was his obsession with SEG players. I think had Ten Hag just said and let INEOS actually do the recruitment and not signed all of his former players, I think Ten Hag could have succeeded to an extent. I think there was a stubbornness there, you know, not playing Ahmad. But, you know, I think there was moments from Ten Hag that I liked. But he lacked that man management, and that, you know, I think that's important. Nagelsmann and Vival's an exciting combo. They've worked very well together in the past. Carrick should be given a chance. Ollie was given a chance. But then some people are saying, oh, look what happened with Ollie. We shouldn't give Carrick a chance, which is crazy because they're two different people. Man United beat Newcastle, then Villa on Saturday will be big fave for UCL. Yeah, I think if we win our next two games, Newcastle and Villa, and we go into the international break having beat Newcastle and Villa, we're basically pretty much UCL football guaranteed unless we literally went winless for like 5-6 games. It is mad to think that Carrick could lose every game between now and the end of the season and he would still have a better win rate in the Premier League than Ruben Amorim. It's actually mad to think that. Like, he could lose literally like 10 games in a row. Amorim won't go job as Jonathan. Oh, guys. I think Amorim, you know, at the right club could do well. I just don't think he was ready for the step up at Man United. And I think the thing with Amorim, I do think if we gave him 3 years, it could have worked. If you gave him 3 years, 2 more midfielders, 2 more wing backs, if we gave Amorim another 2 summers, I think it could have worked. But the thing is, Amorim wasn't showing us enough to give him another 2 years because he was failing. You know, I think if you'd have given Amorim every kind of player that he needed, and the wing backs, the centre mids, the lot, I think it could have worked. But his system needed such specific players to do such specific roles that it was just like, we don't have time for this. We can't have another season out of the Europe. Casemiro leaving scares me. We're effed without him. Do you know what? It scares me as well. I'll show you something. Man United have only lost once in their last 24 games that Casemiro has started. We've lost all 7 he's not started. All 7 games he's not started, we've lost. We go to beat Grimsby. But yeah, Casemiro leaving it scares me. I mean, losing to Grimsby, I don't think Casemiro started that game when we lost to Grimsby. We've lost literally all of our 7 losses have come when Casemiro's not started. If Carrick maintains form till the end of the season, it will not be red flags like with Ollie. I agree. Ollie had form for 5-6. Ollie had form for like 10 games and then he dropped off. If Carrick maintains form to the end of the season, he doesn't drop off like Ollie. Going back to this point on Casemiro, another thing you can add is every time we've subbed Casemiro off, we've had a 2-0 lead versus Fulham. We sub Casemiro off, it goes to 2-2. Luckily, Sesko comes on and wins it 3-2. Then, you know, we were 2-0 up to Burnley. Casemiro comes off, I think it goes 2-2. I think as well, when you look at the games Casemiro started in which we subbed him off in, we've absolutely collapsed. I don't think people realise how difficult it's going to be to replace Casemiro. I don't think people realise how difficult it's going to be to replace Casemiro. We have to get 2 elite midfielders. We have to get it right. Because like we could fall off next season without him. Thank you for the super chat. I would sit Casemiro down in the room and have a conversation with him about staying 1 more year. If we were in the Champions League next season, games will pile up. I do that as well, but I think Casemiro wants to end on a high. I think also with 2 games a week next year, he would struggle more. We should go for Stiller and Anderson or Bruno G and Tonali. I think Tonali and Anderson are the best options to replace Casemiro. I think Bruno G would be unbelievable in that kind of 8 role, but I don't think he's going to leave Newcastle this summer. If Netcher could be guaranteed to stay fit, he's perfect to replace Casemiro. I'd say he's more of a 6'8", but I think he could do a job in midfield. Carrick does take risks. He brings on forward players instead of just defending leads, which is what I like about Carrick. He's got a bit of that DNA. Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali would be the dream. I think Tonali could leave Newcastle. I think if Tonali leaves, Bruno Guimaraes isn't going anywhere. I think if Bruno Guimaraes was to leave Newcastle, he'd go abroad. I think Tonali probably would rather go back to Italy. I don't think we've got much chances of getting Tonali or Bruno G, but I think our chances of getting Tonali would be higher. And Tonali's who I think I would want to replace Casemiro with, I think. But yeah, I mean, we're playing Newcastle today. I mean, I would love Bruno Guimaraes and Tonali. I think most people would. What else has been said in the football news world then? Tuchel, Ancelotti, Enrique admired but very unlikely. De Zerbi liked but internal concerns remain. Nagelsmann most liked internally, seen a strong fit by INEOS, but you know they want a head coach rather than a manager. Nagelsmann fits into the model. McKenna Silva liked, but they lack big club experience. The current feeling is it could come down to Carrick versus Nagelsmann. I think INEOS have kind of made a decision. It's Carrick or Nagelsmann. Let's see what happens at the end of the season. I think that is the situation. I think they're just waiting. I think INEOS know, and I think they're just waiting. I think INEOS will probably go to Carrick unless things go wrong. In other news, Manchester United drama. We are the Kardashians of the football world. There's always a story. Jack Fletcher has been suspended for 6 matches following his red card against Barnsley in the EFL Trophy this season. Jack admitted a charge of acting in improper manner or using abusive/insulting language towards a match official. I think he just called the ref or player a gay boy or something. I think that's what's been said. And I think he's probably being used as an example here. 6-match ban, I can't lie, that feels harsh, but I think because there's been such a problem with homophobia in football, I think they've probably used him as an example of, you can't be saying that. Jack said, "I am truly sorry for the offensive word that I used in the heat of the moment. Despite the fact that I had no intention to use the term as a homophobic insult, I completely understand that such language is unacceptable and immediately apologized after the game. I want to be clear that it's a momentary lapse of character, absolutely does not respect my belief or values." Some people are going off about this online. Look, the way I see it is Jack Fletcher's a kid. He's a kid. He's made a mistake. I think it's just a lack of education. I think it's an immaturity thing. Like, he went to a British school. I'm not defending it. Obviously, I'm against all forms of homophobia. But he went to a British school. In British schools, when you're 17, 18, the boys go, "Oh, gay lord, gay boy, bumder." It's like the in-betweeners. And I think he's probably just... he's probably so used to that kind of language because it is normalized, and I don't think it should be normalized, but if you're in a British school, people go, "Oh, that's gay all the time," and I think he's just in the moment not thought and went, "Oh, gay boy," and he's got himself a 6-match ban, which he's obviously regretting. And I think it's just a kid. He'll probably learn from mistakes. I know people are giving him a lot of stick about it at the moment, but it's not like he said the F slur. I think it's more because I think people know that's bad. I think he's more just said it because it's just that teenage boy language, and I think it's just an education immaturity thing. I think, I'm not going to give him stick for it. He's apologized. He's admitted what he's done is wrong. He said, "I shouldn't have said that." He said it was just, he had no intention of using it in that way. I think it's just an 18-year-old kid that's just gone gay boy to the ref, because a lot of 18-year-old boys say that. And again, I'm not defending that language. But I think he probably didn't realize that how offensive it can be to some people, and he's just made a mistake, to be honest, and he's got a 6-match ban. But like, I'd understand it more if he said the F slur, but look, I went to school not that long ago. To be fair, everyone at my school said gay lord, not gay boy. Everyone used to be like, "Gay lord, gay lord." I think it's just a teenage boy, lack of education, immature, silly moment thing that he'll regret. But I don't think he said it with like hate, and he said he didn't say it in that way. I think he's just been used to make an example. The problem is with football, there's so much homophobia in football that if something happens, they now need to kind of make an example of it. There's a lot worse things he could have said. There's a lot more homophobic things he could have said. But I think it is very much like they've got a big problem with homophobia in football. He said a comment. You can't say that comment, even if he's maybe not said it in that way, and they're probably just using him to make an example of. Thank you for the super chat, Martin Lawrence. It's not just Casemiro. We need to get rid of Manny Yogurt. Who's Manny Yogurt? And replace him. I'm gonna see Manuel Agate and replace him. Maybe João Gomez from Wolves. You know what I was saying? Yeah. This. Yeah, but I was saying this yesterday, actually. I think João Gomez. I watched João Gomez was unreal yesterday, by the way. I said this yesterday. João Gomez is the Agate replacement for me. He is. João Gomez, 30 million, is the Agate replacement for me. Would love one of Anderson Tonali. I know the chances are low to replace Casemiro, but, I'd love one of Anderson Tonali to replace Casemiro. I'd love João Gomez to replace Agate, and the third midfielder is someone that needs to be able to play 6, 8, and 10 for depth reasons, and for that reason, I'd go with Matheus Fernandes. If we've got Matheus Fernandes, João Gomez, and one of Anderson and Tonali as our 3 midfielders, boom. I think that would be good stuff. Big up everybody. If you're watching and you're new, please do go and subscribe if you want daily Manchester United news updates. Please do smash the likes as well. Let's go for 100 likes. Big up everybody watching. It's normalised across the world. I made a similar mistake in a game and learned from it. Yeah, I think that's the thing with Jack Fletcher. You know, I'm not saying it should be normalised, but it has become normalised language in British schools, and I think you just sort of learn from it. People say things, they make mistakes, they learn from it. Like when you're 18, many people just say things that are silly and stuff. So that's why I'm not, you know, there's some people giving him a bit of stick, but for me, I'm like, I don't think he meant it in a bad way. I think it was probably a mistake. You know, I think if he meant it in a bad way, he would have used a word that started with F. The amount of stuff happening in football is mental at the moment. It is crazy. Alice, in the first half, I swear João Gomez looked like Iniesta at times. Get rid of a guy, bring in João Gomez. Get one of Anderson or Tonali to replace Casemiro, and then we need a third midfielder that can do it all for depth. Mateus Fernandes. You once got a yellow for saying OMG. That's mad. I've definitely said OMG in a match. I mean, I've said all sorts of things in a match. Like, nothing like bad, but I'll be like, crap, F off. Like so if I had a really bad shot in the match the other day and I called myself an effing twat, I went on a nice run. Dribbled around like 3 people. The shot, I put all my power behind the shot, and the shot had absolutely no power on, and it was like a pass off to the throw-on area, and I went, you fucking twat. But luckily I didn't get in trouble for that, because I think the ref knew I was talking to myself, because it was bad. It was bad. And then, I tell you what, like, I was just rusty. The pitch was awful that we're playing on. I went to, like, cross the ball, and I looked like Garnacho. I just kind of sliced, like, I kind of slipped as I went to cross the ball, and I sliced it, and it just went out for a goal kick. Yeah, I tell you what, I was swearing at myself a lot. Get Alisson out of midfield. I don't think you'd want me in the midfield. I don't think you want me in the midfield. I think Kone could be something special for us, as well as Cinnamon. Are you talking about Manu Kone of Roma, who looks like a good player, or are you talking about Sekou Kone, and obviously, you know, in the academy, who's got bags of potential? But going back to the midfield, I think, you know, it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy to find a Casemiro replacement, but it's really important. We also know we need a left winger. Samuel Lutkos has said we need a left winger, and the club want a left winger. Simon Stone said that left wing is an issue that United want to address in the summer. We obviously tried to get Semenyo in January. That didn't work. We've been linked to Diamonde. We've been linked to Gordon. I think what the situation is at Manchester United is they want 2 midfielders, but they need 3. They should be going for 3 midfielders, and João Gomez should be 1. They want a winger, and I think they'll look at fullback. I think we're going to sign 1 winger, 1 fullback, and 2 midfielders. I think we should be signing 3 midfielders, 1 fullback, 1 winger. I think we need 5 signings. I think we'll probably make 4. But with Champions League football, we could have 100 million more to spend. Listen, people, I want to keep the live stream nice and short. I'm going to wrap it up here. Talking about Sekou Kone. Yeah, he's definitely one. Sekou Kone and Jim Thwaites for the future. Siddiqui, I like Siddiqui. He's a shout. Siddiqui, Sanderbirds, there's some shouts out there. But I think João Gomez, I've been saying him for a while, would be my guy replacement. I like Camavinga, but he's injury prone. Alice, who do you think our left wing target is? Probably Njai. But look, anyway, listen, people, I want to thank everyone for watching today's live show. We'll just talk about the manager situation. For me, I believe it is Nagelsmann or Carrick, and they're waiting until May to make a decision. You know, Liverpool dropping points, always great. Replacing Casemiro is going to be hard. And yeah, thank you for watching. I'll be back for a match reaction to United Newcastle. Please win. I'm not confident though. Thank you for watching. Bye.